About 2 decades ago, the system to have if you were a gamer who enjoyed niche Japanese titles was a PlayStation. Of course, there were lots of other consoles that were really good with niche games, like for example the Sega Saturn and all of those, but a PlayStation made sense. CD-based media holds a lot of data, the hardware is powerful enough to run most things, and it was that generation's best-selling console, which obviously means that a lot of developers decided to make games for it. Then the PS2 came out, which saw even more success. The PSP was released shortly after, which had a very large library of niche games as well. And then the PS4 and Vita continued that trend up until now. But recently, I've noticed a shift. Niche games, or anime games, or whatever you want to call them, are slowly making their way over to the PC and Nintendo Switch. These days, you don't necessarily need a PlayStation if you want to play those types of games. And that's a pretty interesting concept if you consider that a PlayStation was usually considered almost essential. In the last 5 or so years, the amount of niche games available on Steam has been ever growing. A few of them are even on GOG.com as well. It seems like most niche games originally made for some sort of PlayStation console end up on Steam at some point or another. Let's see, there's Valkyria Chronicles, Monster Monpiece, Moe Chronicle, Galgun. Actually, there's 2 Galgun games, I think. Valkyrie Drive, Akiba's Trip, the E series, some of the Disgaea games, most of the Neptunia and Senran Kagura series, and a ton of various JRPGs. I could go on, and the list just keeps getting bigger every year. And that doesn't even count all the visual novels that in the past could have never found their way over to the West, like Nekopara and all of those. And then there are game developers that aren't Japanese, but try to make their games look Japanese, like the Sakura series, for example. So what is the reason that games like these are getting more and more popular on PC? Honestly, I don't know. I can only take a guess. For me, I'm a PC gamer primarily, so I'll try to get it on PC whenever possible. And one of the reasons I like to play on computers is that most games run much better on PCs. And also with niche games, since they're usually not exactly on the cutting edge in terms of graphical fidelity, a lot of the time even non-gaming computers can handle them well. The price is also another big one, I think. Games can be so cheap during Steam sales, which makes it easy to try some of them out. Some only cost a few dollars during holiday or summer sales. In fact, a lot of my early views on the channel came from people wanting to see if Neptunia Rebirth 1 was worth it when they saw it on sale. There are a lot of "who's here because of the Steam sale" type of comments on that video. But on the flip side, there are some problems too. PC ports often have issues. Anything from bugs and crashes to other limitations like frame rates being locked to 30 FPS, improper support of resolutions, lack of graphical settings, and poor keyboard and mouse controls. Sometimes it's also just good old bad optimization. Look how Disgaea 1 was at first. There were so many problems when it originally launched on Steam. It ran bad on even the best hardware, which is crazy for a game that looks like this, and had a ton of graphical glitches on top of that. The good thing is that patches usually fix a lot of issues eventually, but sometimes that's not the case. And another thing that is a bit unfortunate is that PC ports almost always lag behind in terms of release date by several months, or in some cases even years. Oh yeah, no physical releases either, which is a huge bummer for collectors like me. I always end up getting the console version first so I can get the goodies. Disgaea 1 had a limited edition, but the game wasn't even included. Couldn't they just have included a disc? That's how Bethesda did it with Skyrim, despite that game actually requiring Steam. Overall, I personally haven't had too many technical problems with a lot of the games I play, so my experiences have been generally positive. You have to keep in mind that a lot of these companies are relatively small with a budget that matches said smallness, so if you look at it from that perspective, less than optimal PC ports aren't that much of a surprise really. And as the popularity of PC niche gaming increases, technical problems should decrease at the same time, hopefully. Now let's talk about the Nintendo Switch. Niche games are a big deal on handheld consoles. You just have to look at the Vita. Despite being abandoned by the mainstream years ago, the Vita continued on as a niche gaming machine. You might be wondering why so many people play these games on handheld systems, but the reason is actually kind of obvious. Now, I'm not going to say it's like this for everyone, but many people are simply embarrassed to be seen playing these games. I see comments like this all the time. What if someone walked in on me playing this game? And that's why so many of these games are on handheld systems like the Vita. But with the Vita fading away, even in the world of niche gaming, it's the Nintendo Switch that's picking up the slack. And I think that's a good thing. For me, one of the annoying things were when home console games like, let's say Disgaea 4, for example, got a remake on the Vita. The combination of enhanced and added features Worse looking graphics and handheld exclusivity just doesn't sit well with me. And while the PS TV allows me to play video games like it was a home console, not all games work with it because of the stupid whitelist thing, and I wasn't gonna mod a console that at the time was still current. Plus, it doesn't solve the ugly graphics problem. In fact, I think it looks worse on the big screen. And while games like Disgaea 5 that came out on both the PS4 and Switch still look better on the PS4, the differences are small enough that it doesn't bother me too much. Plus, you get the benefit of playing docked or in handheld mode, which is great for really grindy stuff, I feel. Just take it with you, do some tedious activity, and you don't have to just be tied in front of your screen all the time. So you get portability, privacy, and home console level graphics. You don't have to sacrifice one thing to have another, at least not to as large of a degree as before. Something else that certainly doesn't hurt is that the Switch is region-free. Thanks, Nintendo. The lack of region protection on the PS3, PS4, PSP, and Vita are one of the reasons why niche gamers like them. Normally when I waffle on about a subject, it's usually a retrospective of some sort. But I also like to observe things as they happen around me, so this video was a way for me to do that. It's a bit like a record of what I was thinking at one particular point in time. And maybe in a few years from now, with the power of hindsight, we can take a look at the subject of niche gaming on PC and the Nintendo Switch again, and see if my perspective has changed at all. Something I'm really curious to hear is what system you guys use for your niche gaming needs. What have you used in the past, and have you started moving from PlayStation systems to the PC or maybe a Switch? And was that decision conscious or not? Let me know in the comments. I'm interested to see what the responses are. I'm sure they're going to be quite varied. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say here in this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again in the next video.